Hey guys, Tara here. Welcome back to another BeamNG Drive video. This time Race Mania episode 6. If you didn't miss the previous one in this series, or any in this series, definitely go and check the ones out first so you know the rules for this series and the spectacular crashes that have happened before. So the first car up today, in the first place will be the slowest car, is the Mania, which is completely chrome as well, which you can see is not having a fun time with the textures, but the Mania is the slowest car for today's video. And then in second place is the Vendetta, which as you can see this time hasn't got giant pepperoni slices all over it, but it's still the exact same car, just on something a bit different instead of staring at a piece of pepperoni for 2 laps if it survives. Then in third place is the Sunburst, but this time it's the French police car version. Still, it's the exact same car, just in blue with a light on the top of it. In fourth place, the second fastest car, is the Toyota Supra, or the Presu, as it's called in the game. And when I was doing the test runs, the Supra, honestly not as fast as I thought it'd be. I mean, this is even the race version of it, so you'd think this thing would be the fastest car, but the fastest car for this episode today is the SBR4 hill climb version. Now what I need to do before I start is remove the front splitter from this car, because in the testing runs the front splitter basically acted as a scoop to just spin all the other cars around, and I see that as an unfair advantage. So it's still going to be, the car performance is still going to be exactly the same, just without the front splitter, but everything else on the car will remain untouched. Speed at the time so these pieces can just fly out of the way, which they now have. So now it's time to set off all the cars. So as again, remember to comment down below which car you think will win. And honestly, I'm going to have to say the Supra, because, well, it's a Supra. How can you vote against a Supra to not win, to win a race? I mean, yeah, it's not the fastest car to go, but I still think I've got a good feeling about it. And also, something else for this episode, which I'm trialling, is I've lessened the gravity. So if there's a crash, cars might roll over or fly into space and be never seen again. So just something else I want to try this episode. So starting here on board with the Mania, which of course is a slower car, so of course there's less gravity, there'll be less grip as well, so the top speed of the cars might be a little bit slower, but I don't think it's going to make all that much of a difference. Now you can see the Vendetta already catching up to the back of the Mania. The Vendetta is quite a bit faster than the Mania. It's not quite, actually quite a lot faster than I thought it was going to be. And now the Sunburst has got a bit of catching up to do still, and the Supra has still got a little bit of a gap for now ahead of the SBR. And now there's a change for the lead already. Now there's side-by-side action, and now the Vendetta just gets cleanly past the Mania. And Mania really not fast in a straight line at all, not getting the best exits out of corners either. And the Sunburst, of course, is the car that needs to win if he wants to get through into the next round. Still has a bit of a gap for now over the Supra, but that's not going to last for much longer. And then there's the Supra's gap over the SBR, which is an absolute monster in terms of straight lines here, coming up to almost 100 miles an hour. As now you can see the Vendetta already pulling away out in front from the Mania. And now here comes the first bit of contact now between the Sunburst and the Supra. Now the Sunburst doing a good job here of defending, of course needs to keep in front of the Supra since the Supra is a much faster car. And oh, that's done a lot of denting to the front bumper. And now here comes the SBR 40 game volume action. Now, oh, that's a hard ram right onto the back there of the Supra. And now the Sunburst is gone. The Sunburst has gone into the wall, has it? It's going to go into the wall, but can it just get turned out okay? And of course the car that needs to win is now facing the wrong way into the barrier, but it just gets going, does it? Oh, that's another nudge off the back of the other barrier. And now here comes the SBR now to do another hard hit onto the Supra. See the front windscreen of the Supra now completely broken from all that. Now these two have now caught the way up to the Mania. Now the Supra is getting shoved around, is it now, by the SBR? It's going to go around. We need to look, see if the Sunburst is going in the right direction, which is driving on the grass, so I don't know what it's trying to do at the minute. But now let's focus on the crash here between the Supra and the SBR, and the Supra into the wall, but it should get going again. And now what about the Sunburst? Okay, the Sunburst is going in the absolute wrong direction. And it's all just going wrong now for the Sunburst, because honestly, there's no way it's going to win. So especially now it's gone this far behind, going in the wrong direction. Now to slow down time again and hope it just hasn't been a crash with anything else. Now what about, no, these two haven't made contact yet, which is going to change right about now. There's a little nudge back at it. Of course the Mania, being an older car, is just completely made of metal. So it's going to have quite a strong crash structure. And I think the Supra is going the wrong way. Unless it's trying to turn around. No, the Supra is going the wrong way. So now I have to turn off the Supra and turn that back around again. Let's hope. Oh, there's going to be quite a crash here in a minute. I get a feeling there's going to be a crash between the SBR and the... And what just happened then? Okay, the Supra's just magically reset itself. So we've got quite a few interesting situations going on here. And now let's put the speed back into real time. Turn the magic Supra around, which I have no idea how it just fixed itself, but it somehow has. Now turn it off and disabled again. Turn the time back down, put it back onto random. And now let's see. It hasn't been a crash. Okay, it only got spun round, so we haven't really missed that much. But now the sunburst has still got quite a bit of catching up to. I mean, the good thing is it's still in pretty much pristine condition. But that's not going to do a lot. And the magic Supra, which somehow fixed itself. And now the Mania gets going again in the right direction. But now the Vendetta in the lead, which is pretty much in perfect condition without some magic reset, is still going okay. Now the Sunburst has got quite a lot of catching up to do if he wants to catch it. The Sunburst needs to win. And the Supra with a second chance. Now if it doesn't finish now, it's only got itself to blame really. The SBR catching up quite quickly to the back of the Vendetta, which is to be expected really, and the Mania pretty much in pristine condition. And the Vendetta, I mean, hopefully it's enjoyed its time in the lead, but of course it doesn't need to win, it just needs to not finish last, because it hasn't won a round yet, so winning a race isn't crucial, but it's not going to stay in the lead much longer. I doubt it's going to win because, albeit it's a very dented front of the SBR, it's still easily the fastest car out here. Albeit the Supra may be a bit faster now through the corners, given whatever it just did to randomly fix itself. But now, coming up towards the end of the S section, still got the Vendetta in the lead. It's still got some decent pace through the corners. I mean, being completely undamaged. It's got some, I would say, decent aerodynamics, but it hasn't got a spoiler or anything. I think just the airflow would be better going over it than what it is over the SBR. Now they're coming onto the back straight. This is where the SBR can really put the power down now and just floor it to catch up to the back of the Vendetta. Of course, the Vendetta being a muscle car, with the lighter gravity, can't really put the power down as much as it would like to, so this is where the SBR will catch up significantly, as the Mania just in a no man's land of its own. In P3, the Sunburst isn't really doing anything, and the Magical Supra, did it get a bit airborne? It looked like it got a little bit airborne, but I don't think anything too dramatic happened there. Now the Vendetta going to the finish line, so the Vendetta I think is going to lead lap 1, but then I don't think it's going to lead for much longer afterwards, because coming up to the start finish line now, which will be the end of the shadow, and the SBR just isn't close enough yet to try and take the lead away, so the Vendetta is going to lead onto the second lap. But leading onto the second lap doesn't matter, because all you need to do now is finish the second lap and not in last place. That's what happens, because leading sure helps, but being consistent is also what's needed. Now going through the chicane, the start of the lap once again onto the back straight. The Vendetta needs every hope it can get here to stay in front of the SBR, as the Magical Supra is now catching up to the back of the Mania, and it's closer to the Supra closer to the Mania, and the SBR is catching up to the Vendetta. And now with its new lease of life, can this Supra do anything to not finish in last and try and get onto the podium? Because that Mania really has got no top end speed, no traction out of the corner. It's not got a lot of anything, if I'm honest. But now then, here comes the absolute power now from the SBR. It's catching, not catching as quickly as I thought it would have done. But now then, what about the Supra? The Supra's now onto the back of the Mania, but now this is where the real fight is for the lead here. And now there comes a bit of contact now. The Vendetta gets airborne for a second then. Now it's still trying to keep it in front. Now to slow down time for a second, see what's going on here. Okay, the Supra hasn't caught up yet. But although I do feel like the Vendetta's going to get sent round in a circle pretty soon, and now it does. But is it going to avoid contact with the wall? Oh, it's a bit of a nudge into the back of it, but gets away with it. In terms of damage, only a little dent, but it should be okay. And now here comes a bit more contact now. The Marama definitely now under attack from the revised Supra. And of course it gets shoved round, and now there goes the Marama into the wall, does it? Let's go aboard here with the Marama. It's ripped the bumper off the Supra, but the Marama isn't going to avoid contact with the wall. No, because it gives the wall a little nudge, but everything's okay from that structurally wise. I don't really know what the Vendetta's doing. Okay, that bumper needs to go. That's going to cause so many issues. Let's pull off the front bumper of the Supra, since it shouldn't really have a front bumper in the first place, given it magically respawned itself. And now then, what about the Marama? Is that going to get going in the right direction? I think it's trying to turn itself around. I mean, it's got quite a bit of time to catch up to the... Well, it's got time to get going before the sunburst catches up to it. But now, yeah, the sunburst only come onto the start of it, the first straight now, so I think it should be okay. And the Supra should be okay to finish in a podium position. SBR already into the S's section now, so be sure the SBR needs to start a bit further back next time if it gets through into the next round, that is, because until you cross the finish line, nothing's set in stone. The Mania looks like it could finish in second place yet again. I'm pretty sure it's finished every single round so far in second place, and that trend could well continue if it stays where it is. But the Supra will be catching now. Of course, the Supra obviously got absolutely no threat from overheating or anything, because that is a dented radiator, but I don't think it's overheating or leaking or anything, so even if it is, only got half a lap to go, so it should be okay regardless. The SBR already coming up towards the end of the lap already. The Marama coming down the back straight. If you can just stay where it is, then he'll be through into the next round. Because the Sunburst isn't really catching it, and the Sunburst needs to win. But if the Sunburst finishes last, then it counteracts. Of course, it doesn't get through, then it's out. But it's also out because it's the car in last place. So if it doesn't catch the Marama, then the Marama's through into the next round if it survives. But now coming into the second to last corner already is the SBR. It's just an absolutely dominant performance, I guess, with the lesser gravity. The downforce advantage that this car has from this giant rear wing is just that much more, I guess, more prominent in the lesser gravity conditions. You can't even see the Sunburst behind the Marama, so the Marama should be okay to finish in fourth. Can't see, I can just see in the background the Supra catching up to the Vendetta, but I don't think there's going to be enough time, and even if it does, this should be okay to both finish the lap. And now the SBR already coming up to the final corner, and unless it just randomly implodes like a few cars have done on the Dangerous Red Rally, which we do in GTA, it should be okay to cross the finish line and take victory, but then he needs to win the next round as well. But taking victory here just knocks out the Sunburst for the next round. And then coming up to the finish line, the SBR does take victory. Now we've got the Vendetta still in second place, and the Supra is catching, but it's nowhere near it, challenging for the second place. So the Vendetta once again is set to come home with another second place finish. And I don't know what it is with this car in second place, but it can keep finishing in second place all it wants, because if it keeps getting finished in the next round, then the second place is more than enough. But I'm sure at some point it wants to go for that victory, but that victory could be what takes it out for the round afterwards. We're coming up to the finish line, still with all four hubcaps attached as well. Should be noted, all four hubcaps, because the wheels never actually made contact with anything, so it's only that dent on the back of it which took out the little bit of the back of the Vendetta. But the Vendetta does come across the finish line to finish in second place. And another second place, so that's at the fifth, or was it fourth second place? But either way, all the rounds he's been in second place, and he's just going to pull off to the track there into the gravel trap. Now who's in third? The Supra. The Supra actually wasn't that far behind, and given its godly respawning powers, which I have no idea how it did it, but either way, if it just comes up to the finish line, it's going to be through into the next round. And with only a front bumper missing and a dented radiator. Of course, there was a lot more damage to what happened here originally, But either way, it fixed itself somehow, and now it has crossed the finish line. And the question is though, is it going to stop before it hits into the back of the Vendetta? And it's got some good brakes here on the Supra, that's what you expect from a race car. Indeed, it does stop before it hits into the Vendetta. Oh dear, that's a very dent in the front. I have no idea why this didn't stop. In that time, I guess the brakes was absolutely shot by the end. And now here comes the Mania coming up to around the final corner in P4. And that's going to be easily enough for it to get through into the next round. The Vendetta is just rolling into the gravel trap for some reason. And the Sunburst in last place. It's going to finish, but it's definitely out of the next round. And then Mania coming up the final straight now, around the final corner. And I want to know, I'm interested if those mirrors are detachable. I mean, we'll probably find out at some point whether or not those mirrors come off, but I would think they do. But I mean, you're just in such an obscure place to not get any damage. And the Mania is easily the car in the best condition, coming across the finish line now. Now, is the Mania going to get stopped before it hits into the Supra? Because being an old car wouldn't have the best brakes, and is it going to stop? No, it's going to be contact in. Oh, that's a bit of contact. I mean, I imagine that's a bit of payback for the Supra for what it did before, but that's done a lot more damage to the Mania than what the Supra just took from that. Because now on the back of it, see, it's only done a bit more of a dent to the back of the Supra. But there's only one car left to finish now, which is the Sunburst. And the Sunburst, let's turn on the police lights. It's going to make no difference. The Sunburst out in this round, but at least we get to look at the police light for about the next 15-ish seconds. Coming up now to the finish line. Oh, there's lights on the back of it as well, which I didn't notice before. I mean, because the white on, so I didn't know the white lights there. Lights on the front still work as well. Now coming up across the finish line, the Sunburst is going to finish in last place. I've done that a little bit early, so now speed up time once again. And now the Sunburst finishes the race, but in last place. So the Sunburst is out of the next round and will be the only car that gets replaced into the next round. Is it going to stop before it hits the Mania? Just about. And now what's it doing? It'll come to a stop. It's going to go for a roll, so why that's doing whatever. Let's just take a look at a drive at how today's car's finished. Now, does the Supra drag itself out of the gravel trap? Yes, it can. It ended up next to the Vendetta in the end. Let's just see how this thing drives, if indeed it still does drive. I mean, the only thing wrong with it is the front bumper missing, so yeah, this thing still drives perfectly fine. It's quite a bit of wheel spin we expect from a Supra. It would have quite a lot of wheel spin, and that hit at the end of the back of it didn't really do an awful lot, so yeah, the Supra's okay and is through into the next round. The SBR, it'll be interesting to see if this thing still drives, which it's, well, through the gravel, it's going to be quite a bit slow, but I imagine this thing would still have a bit more speed once it gets out of the gravel trap. I mean, it's still saying 0 mile an hour on the speedometer, so yeah, not the fastest in the world. And now that's going in the right direction. Of course, reverse, you don't need to be going fast in reverse. What you need to be going fast is when you go forward. And okay, that wheel's off the ground, is it? Okay, it's eating its own front bumper, and that's not done an awful lot for the speed, so it's through to the next round, but it's time, yeah, that bumper needs removing to actually see how this car still drives, if it does. Now, come on, bumper. Oh, it's going to be, well, it's really stubborn, this bumper is. And it's going to go through the floor as well, which isn't going to help. Now, you actually get hold of it, do I? Yeah, get hold of something, and something's now detached. Now, what about this? Is this the chassis, or is this another part of the front bumper? I think that's not part of the bumper. Okay, now let's see how this thing still drives. Now, with the wheels detached, the front bumper detached, it definitely goes a lot faster than what it did before. And I don't know why the brakes failed at the end, but either way, it's this time's winner and is through into the next round. And as for the Mania, which took a hit at the end, has that killed any of the lights? Yeah, it took out one of the lights, but I think the lights are the least of this car's issues. And it's still got all 4 hubcaps, has it? Yes, it does. So that's through into the next round as well, and it's probably the strongest car to get through into the next round. And then finally, the Vendetta. That's, well, the only bit of damage on that is that really now just hole in the back of it. And yeah, this drives perfectly fine. I think of all the cars left, this is now probably the car that drives the best, and that's a bit of wheel spin there, of course. just with the lower gravity, this thing is quite a bit harder to control than what it was when it was the pizza car with normal gravity. And then, of course, we have the sunburst, which I hoped for more from it, but I guess just driving the wrong way at the start, when he got spun round and got confused, that's definitely what killed it. I mean, it still drives perfectly fine, although the brakes are quite terrible now. I think the brakes have gone on that as well. I'm taking a final look at today's winner. So if you enjoyed this episode of Race Mania, remember to leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new, and remember to check out my Discord server, which will be linked in the description. Also check out my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they'll be linked in the description down below as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.